I've been on the job for about a year now, and I'm probably the first mayor that has said definitively, look, we need to solve this. I mean, this has been out there kicking around for over a decade.
So probably the most exciting issue, maybe not exciting for you because you probably have to eat, breathe, sleep this every day, is whether or not the Chargers will stay in San Diego. So I guess I'll just ask you flat out, are they going to stay in San Diego?
Well, we're working real hard to make sure the Chargers stay in San Diego, right where they belong. I've said it's part of, we're working on a lot of important issues in San Diego, public safety, infrastructure, roads, but, having the Chargers is part of who we are. It's part of the fabric of our community on a Sunday afternoon in the fall. We're spending a whole lot of time on that to make sure we have a deal that I think is fair, that is responsible, that voters will support, and most importantly, keeps the Chargers in San Diego. Not only for the Chargers, but our San Diego State Aztecs do a great job every year. And I think we have a real opportunity for the first time, because we have the political will and leadership to really put together a plan and a package that voters will support.
At the end of the day, what do you think it's going to come down to? Because I read this article in the UT recently. Actually, it was an editorial that basically said that you've been pushing forward and you built a task force, as we all know, to try to move the team forward and stay in San Diego. But the editorial suggested that the Chargers are not acting in good faith, that they're looking at LA, they're looking at Oakland. So what's the bright line here?
Well, I'll tell you, what I've said is, I can't control what's going to happen in LA.
Sure.
But what I can control is us putting our best foot forward in San Diego. And I've been on the job for about a year now, and I'm probably the first mayor that has said definitively, look, we need to solve this. I mean, this has been out there kicking around for over a decade. And I've said, look, that's why I put the group together. That's why we're bringing on, outside experts on financing and others to make sure that we have a plan that makes sense. Looking at what's happened in some of the other NFL cities, it's important. It's important for us as a city and the entire San Diego region and portions of Orange County that love seeing the Chargers play in Mission Valley. And my job is to make sure that we keep them right there for decades to come.
And is that part of the discussion right now, whether they stay in Mission Valley or they stay in downtown San Diego?
Yeah, that's one of the things we looked at. What's the best site? And the group came together after looking at downtown and said, it makes perfect sense to do it right where we are in Mission Valley. The trolley stops right there. We have really a great opportunity to redevelop that entire site, open it up to the river, which is right there in San Diego. That's why we got a lot of support from the River Park Foundation and others. So, I think this is our opportunity, as I've said in every group that I have a chance to. Let's solve this problem. Let's put together a plan that actually is attached with some real numbers on it. That's part of what leadership is all about, and I'm confident that we can do that.
Do you think at the end of the day that some amount of taxpayer dollars are going to have to be allocated to make this deal a reality?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I put the group together, which is to say, let's look at all the best practices that have happened in other places across the country. But let's look at the reality of us here in San Diego with all of the things that we're doing from infrastructure and others. That's why I think when we look at our best chance for success, it's going to be how do you coordinate some of the surrounding development that helps pay for the new stadium. So I think that's probably our best chance of success and where we're likely to see a plan emerge from.
I know it's early in the process, but have you had some pushback from different interest groups about any kind of taxpayer funding towards the...
Oh yeah, absolutely, because people rightly so say, we have to have a deal that works, a deal that's fair. And I've committed that we're going to take it to the ballot. And I've said, I'm not interested in a plan that doesn't
So it's
make
going to the ballot
sense.
no matter what, it's going to go...
It will go to the ballot.
Okay.
And I said, but what I point out as an example is look at what we did as a city when we came together with Petco Park just about 10 years ago. It's been a phenomenal success. What it's meant for the downtown redevelopment, what it's meant for the Padres, it blends into the community very well. We came together as a city to get that done. That's exactly what we need to do to get this done as well. It's not easy. If it was easy, it would have been done probably 13 years ago. But at the same time, when you have the will to do it and you're going to make sure that it's a fair deal financially, then I think that's something that San Diegans will support and get behind.
And in these discussions with the task force, have there been any discussions about if taxpayer, and it seems like there will be, let's be real, taxpayer dollars in some form or function in this deal, is there any way the city for that would get some kind of ROI or ownership stake in the stadium itself or the team?
Well, we own the land now, and part of we've owned the stadium, and so part of what we look at is what's the best deal. To your point, how do we structure this? Own, operate, manage the stadium. How does that work? How do you look at all the other special events that you'd like to have in there, concerts, etc. When done right, these are really community assets. You can have a variety of different community events, and so I'm absolutely looking at it from a dollars and cents perspective. It has to make sense financially, or else I won't support it.
Certainly, and there's undoubtedly a cultural and social value to having a stadium and a team in your community, no doubt whatsoever. some studies suggest that the economics sometimes don't work out for cities. Have you seen other numbers or?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you're right, because you bring up a point. There's been some bad deals in other
Sure,
places,
certainly.
and so you have to learn from those, and you have to say, okay, what is the right mix of sponsorship, naming rights, development, seat licenses, whatever you want to call it. That's all part of making sure that it's a fair financial deal, so you're not leaving taxpayers on the hook. We did a good deal when we built Petco Park. I think we can match that again, because San Diegans are smart, just like folks in California are smart. If it makes sense and it's a good deal, they're going to support it, and that's one of the reasons that I've committed to bringing it to the ballot.
So who's your favorite player on the Chargers?
I got a lot of them, but I'll tell you, it's hard to beat the QB, the man who makes it happen every day. Philip Rivers does a remarkable job.
Certainly,
So,
certainly.
yeah.
Great.